I'm your host, BrightLearn, and today I'm here to break down one of the most explosive interviews I've come across in a long time. This is the kind of conversation that's going to make you sit up, pay attention, and maybe even rethink everything you thought you knew about what's happening in America right now. So, buckle up, because we're diving into an interview between Mike Adams of BrightLearn.com and Dave Hodges of The Common Sense Show. And let me tell you, this is not your average chit-chat. This is a full-blown intel drop that's going to leave you wide-eyed. Let's start with the big picture here. Dave Hodges, who's based in Arizona, has been tracking some seriously alarming developments in his state and beyond. According to him, Arizona is shaping up to be ground zero for what could be a massive, coordinated assault on America. And no, I'm not talking about some vague, distant threat. This is real. It's imminent, and it's tied to some of the most critical issues we're facing as a nation right now: elections, infrastructure, and even foreign interference. So here's the deal. Dave has been hearing from his sources, former FBI agents, sheriffs, and other insiders, that Arizona is being targeted for sabotage operations. We're talking about drone attacks, IEDs, improvised explosive devices, and even mass casualty events. And the timing, it's all pointing to the upcoming election. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about election interference. This is about destabilizing the country on a massive scale. Now, let's break this down piece by piece. First, Dave mentioned that he's been hearing about this for over a year and a half. A former FBI agent told him that Arizona, as a border state, was particularly vulnerable to terrorist attacks. And get this, California and New Mexico were ruled out as targets because, according to the intel, they're already under the control of what Dave calls the establishment. So it's down to Arizona or Texas. And right now, all signs are pointing to Arizona. But here's where it gets even more intense. Dave recently spoke with Sheriff Richard Mack, who confirmed that there's chatter about an October surprise, a massive terrorist attack designed to throw the election into chaos. And it's not just speculation. Dave's sources are seeing concrete indicators, like the arrest of an Afghan interpreter who was planning a terrorist attack on election day. But here's the thing. This guy wasn't acting alone. Dave believes he's part of a larger, coordinated effort that could go national. And then there's the issue of polling. Now, this might seem like a tangent, but stick with me, because it's crucial. Dave has a background in research and polling, and he's calling out the mainstream media for what he says are rigged polls designed to manipulate public opinion. He's not just throwing around accusations here. He's breaking it down with data. He says most mainstream polls are skewed, with samples that don't accurately represent the population. And why does this matter? Because these polls are being used to create a false narrative, to make it seem like certain candidates are more popular than they really are. And in this case, Dave is talking about Kamala Harris, whose approval rating, according to some sources, is as low as 10%. But here's the real kicker. If the polls are rigged and the election is rigged, what happens next? According to Dave, if Trump wins, the sabotage operations will be activated. And we're not just talking about a few isolated incidents. We're talking about a full-scale assault on America's infrastructure, power grids, water systems, you name it. And drones. They're going to play a huge role in this. Dave's sources are talking about weaponized drones being used to deliver explosives and even carry out suicide attacks. And let's not forget about the foreign element here. Dave dropped a bombshell about the Kigali Principles, a treaty signed by the Obama administration in 2016 that essentially allows foreign troops to intervene in the US in the event of a crisis. Think about that for a second. If there's a major terrorist attack or even a civil war, foreign soldiers could be deployed on American soil. And Dave believes this is part of a larger plan to destabilize the country and pave the way for global governance. But here's the thing that really got me. Dave's warning about the lack of preparedness among everyday Americans. He's been sounding the alarm for years, telling people to stock up on food, water, and supplies. But as we saw with the recent storms in North Carolina, most people are completely unprepared. And if Arizona becomes the target of a coordinated attack, the consequences could be catastrophic. So what's the takeaway here? First, this isn't just some far-fetched conspiracy theory. Dave Hodges is a serious researcher with serious sources, and the intel he's sharing is backed by multiple corroborating reports. Second, this is a wake-up call. Whether you're in Arizona or anywhere else in the country, it's time to get prepared. Because if even half of what Dave is saying comes to pass, we're looking at a scenario that could change the course of American history. And finally, let's not forget the bigger picture here. This isn't just about one state or one election. This is about the future of our country. It's about whether we're going to stand up and fight for our freedoms, or let ourselves be swept away by forces that want to see America fall. So, what do you think? Is this a legitimate threat, or is it all just fear-mongering? I want to hear from you. Drop a comment, send me a message, and let's keep this conversation going. Because one thing's for sure, the stakes have never been higher. Thanks for tuning in to the BrightLearn podcast. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay prepared. I'll catch you next time.
This has been a BrightLearn.ai summary of an interview between Dave Hodges and Mike Adams on October 22, 2024. The full interview is available at brighteon.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.